In the modern world, where Islam often becomes an object of misunderstanding and criticism, it is important to be able to competently and wisely answer complex questions about his religion. Islam is a religion of knowledge and wisdom, and the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, taught us to answer questions according to our level of understanding, without falling into extremes. When you are asked a difficult question about Islam, the first rule is to maintain calm and patience. Allah in the Quran says, "Call on the path of the Lord with wisdom and good exhortation." 16-125. This means that our answer should be based on knowledge, but presented with kindness and respect for the interlocutor. It is important to understand that it is not necessary to know the answer to all questions. If you are not sure of the answer, it is better to honestly say, "I do not know, but I will try to find out and answer you later." This approach corresponds to the Sunnah of the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, who never answered questions, not knowing the exact answer. Islam encourages the desire for knowledge, and if you are faced with a question that you do not know the answer, this is a great opportunity to study your religion deeper. Contact reliable sources, the Quran, hadiths, works of recognized scientists. It is especially useful to know how the great Islamic theologians of the past answered such questions. Answering complex or provocative questions, it is important to take into account the level of knowledge of the interlocutor and his motives. If a person sincerely wants to understand Islam, answer in detail and with evidence. If the question is asked with the aim of a dispute or mockery, it is better to limit yourself to a brief response or not to enter into a useless discussion at all. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, was often silent when he heard stupid or provocative issues. It is important to be able to distinguish between sincere interest from the desire to argue. In any case, your answer should be polite and worthy, because you represent Islam. Use logic and common sense in answers. Islam is a religion that does not contradict reason, so many complex issues can be explained logically. For example, when they ask about polygamy in Islam, you can explain the historical context and the conditions under which this is allowed. When they ask questions about the cruel verses of the Qur'an, it is important to explain them in context and taking into account the Arabic language. It is good to know the basic arguments that the critics of Islam, and be able to competently answer them. For this, it is useful to study books in comparative religious studies and the works of modern Muslim apologists. Pay special attention to the manner of filing information. Even the most correct answer, mentioned with irritation or arrogance, can push a person from Islam. Remember how softly and patiently the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, answered questions, even when they seemed strange or naive to him. Your speech should be calm, the arguments should be clear, and the tone is friendly. If you feel that the conversation goes into a dispute, it is better to complete it tactfully, saying, "I understand your point of view, but we may not come to an agreement on this issue." Remember that your goal is not to defeat in the dispute, but to convey the truth and, possibly, dispel someone's delusions about Islam. Sometimes the best answer is your personal example of pious behavior. When people see in you the embodiment of Islamic values, kindness, honesty, mercy, many of their prejudices dissipate by themselves. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, "Alleged, not complicate, please, and do not push off Bukhari." This principle should be the basis of all your answers to questions about Islam. When preparing for difficult issues, devote time to the study of the most common topics: the position of a woman in Islam, jihad, relationships with other religions, scientific aspects of the Quran. Read the works of modern Muslim scientists who specialize in a dialogue with the Western world. It is useful to know the main arguments against Islam and be able to refute them. But most importantly, your answers should come from the heart, be filled with sincere love for Islam and the desire to convey its beauty to others. Never forget that your every word is responsible for Allah. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, warned, "Truly, sometimes the word is affected, and the speaker does not attach meaning to it, and your words can cause a person to accept Islam, or, do not give Allah, will turn away from him. Let Allah give us all wisdom in answers and purity of intentions. Ameen.